Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome BroadSoft Chief Digital and Marketing Officer, Taher Behbehani.
Thank you. So we heard from Mike and Scott about technology, platforms, solutions, features, apps. There's a lot, and as you heard this morning, there's going to be a lot more. Why is all of this important? What does it mean for us? So what? I sit in my car, turn it on to go to work. It's a pretty new car. Light comes on, notification. Says, flush brake fluid. I have no idea what that means. Never seen it before. Kind of a strange term. I ignore it. Who wants to take a car to the service department? I don't have time. I'll get to it, I tell myself. A few days later, the notification comes up again. I'll get to it. I'll get to it. Third time, I get a text message. It's from the car. And then right afterwards, I get a call from the dealer. The guy says, hey, Mr. Behbehani, yes, your car has been calling me and complaining. Bring it in. I said, I'm sorry, my car is talking to you? He says, yes. I said, and how long has this been going on? Oh, for a while. So my car is having a relationship with you behind my back? He said, look, don't worry. Bring it in, drop the car, drop the key. You don't have to see me. You get a text message, pick it up, and pay on your cell phone. Wow. The guy just made this dreadful experience into something that's really positive. He didn't actually try to sell me a car, but he did sell me on a new experience. And as a matter of fact, this is happening all around us. When we travel, when we buy products online and how products are shipped to us, when we pay at a small business and how payments are processed, it's not just about technology anymore. It's actually about rethinking these innovation processes. It's delivering a new experience to us. And you know what? Industry leaders outside and here in this room recognize this. Many of us know that we are not digital enough. Most of us admit and know that customer experience is the key, critical factor for competition. And majority of us recognize that we are not innovative enough inside our own companies. So the good news is that we know what we don't know. And that's very important for us because we have a major potential upside ahead of us. As a matter of fact, let's take a look where we are. We are just at the beginning, as we discussed this morning. Today, cloud penetration for UC is only at 11%. Our analyst friends would confirm that. For 9% for cloud contact center, and a small 1% for team collaboration. In fact, team collaboration is just starting. In a few years, these numbers will double. We'll go to 22% for UC, 18% for contact center, and 5% for team collaboration. And in a few years, let's say 3 to 4 years, our friends tell us that these numbers, the market size, will actually be quite sizable. $23 billion for unified communications, 15 for contact center, and 5 billion all in cloud for team collaboration. We must, as an industry, all of us in this room today, double our revenues as this market grows. That should be our objective. Double our revenues across all of these. We can do this. And what happens when we do? Well, let's just focus on UC on its own, just unified communications. If we double revenues in UC alone, that translates into $5 billion of additional revenue for us in this room, for our industry, for our base. And that roughly translates into $20 billion of shareholder value. So $20 billion. What is that? That is a really hot startup for us here in this room. That is actually what's called a unicorn, or the valuation of a company called Snapchat, or 20 individual $1 billion companies started by us today. That's a big valuation and a good target for all of us to have. So how do we double our revenue? Well, we have to get more customers. We have to acquire more customers. And what does that mean? Customer acquisition, simply put, is a function with 3 variables. A function of product, price, and time to market. Product, price, and time to market. Do we have the right products? Yes, we do. We have the bundles, the packages, the features, the functions, the applications, the cloud. We have everything we talked about. We have BroadSoft Business. We discussed this earlier today. Do we have the right price? Yes. The packaging, offers, incentives, plans. In fact, in our respective markets, we have the dominant economic power. Our constraint in this equation, what's holding us back, is our time to market. Time to market. What is that? What's time to market? How do you define it? We define time to market as the moment that we deliver something to you on the cloud or software, an application, a service, what we talked earlier, to the time that an end user begins to use it in their business, in a bakery, in a law firm, government agency, or a large enterprise. That's time to market. And how do we do in time to market for our industry? What's our scorecard? Well, it turns out that we do it takes an average of 17 months to take a product to market. 17 months. That's a long time. That's almost 2 years, or as this shows you, it's 7 different seasons. If we start today, I'll be really an old guy by the time we get done. That's not acceptable. That's too long. So what is time to market build of? What are the components? Sales cycle, we have to sell to the end user. Onboarding, and end user adoption. And what we have to do is streamline this process. That's an important point. We need to reduce time to market by streamlining this process. We have to reduce our sales cycle, reduce our onboarding cycles, and increase end user adoption of our products or applications. We have to rethink innovation across these processes. That's where rethinking comes into play. And that's exactly what we started to do last year. We launched our channel management program, which we call Powered by BroadSoft. The objective, thank you. The objective, we have some excited users apparently. The objective of this channel management program is exactly this. Reduce sales cycles, reduce the onboarding cycle, and make sure end user adoption is increased. This has been a collaboration. We launched it exactly a year ago, and we have worked together across all of these, but most importantly, we focused on selling. Since last year to this point, we have actually focused a lot on selling to the end user. Heavy emphasis on understanding the buyer's journey, for those of you who remember from last year, and heavy emphasis on what we call digital marketing. Now, going forward, Scott mentioned earlier, and Mike mentioned earlier as well, we're going to focus quite a bit on this onboarding challenge and end user adoption. I am very proud of the partnership that we have established with you. To be honest, Powered by BroadSoft has been more successful than we expected. We have worked with 116 different partners, in 18 different countries. We launched 45 different co-branded campaigns with you. And we developed 18 fully digital buyers experience, basically for all of you. And actually, we have done this. We created a methodology, a process for our go-to-market activities, working with you. It starts with segmentation, bundling, customer journey, lead gen, and training, sales processes and sales training. It's a methodology. It's a process. We work with your teams to figure out what's working and how we improve these, and we deliver the results to your sales teams and marketing teams. For those of you that worked with us across all of these, the results were impressive and actually measurable. It turned out that we reduced time to market by 4.5 months. And we increased sales growth by 31%. 31% means that in 3 years, we'll double our revenues. Exactly the objective that I'm asking you to reach for. Now, in working with you, we've actually focused quite a bit on data, on digital marketing. In fact, in many respects, we became the de facto digital marketing agency embedded with your own teams, working together very closely. And we've learned quite a bit. I want to give you a few examples of what we have done together. One of the areas of focus for us that we paid a lot of attention to last year was what we call segmentation. Segmentation is basically defining the exact and specific requirements of a business based on its size. It varies greatly if it's a micro business to a large enterprise. And then matching these requirements very precisely to an offer that meets the needs of that size. Segmentation tells us what businesses of a given size or a given vertical buy. It's very effective. Once we figure this out, it's static. We can apply it very effectively. But we did more than that. We also added to it personas. We try to figure out who within these businesses is actually doing the buying. Is it an IT manager? Is it a team lead? Is it a business lead? And exactly what problem are they trying to solve? What intent, what motivation, what's their pain points? Personas tell us why someone within these organizations is buying. When you put this together, an interesting picture comes up. For example, if you're in a micro business, the person that is the IT lead and the team lead and so forth is actually the owner. Why is that important for us? Because if we want to target a message, a product, an offer, one message to the business owner of the micro business. Of course, as the size of business grows, you have many more different personas. You have to have more messages. You have to target it more precisely, more carefully. This picture is important because what we're really trying to do is make it easy for our salespeople to sell. Make it easy for salespeople to sell, which reduces our sales cycle. That's the objective of this exercise. Let me give you an example. Let's assume someone comes to our website or a search bar and says, how do I get an auto attendant? If you put that framework together and you add third-party data from what's available or the data that you may have, we can quickly figure out who is this person? What's a vertical? Where are they located? What's the current technology they're using? How big is the business? What other services do they have? And where are they in the buyer's journey? And then put all of this together to tailor a perfectly targeted message for the persona in the right business, followed by an offer, a perfectly tailored offer. That example I just showed you, by the way, is a real example that we ran that discusses pain points of a business. So in our selling process, as powered by BroadSoft, we have a very well-defined process that we have worked with you, and we have developed a lot of tools and services. Some of these are mentioned here. Everything from lead gen, mystery shopping, email campaigns, and many of you have actually worked with us in utilizing these, and the results have been impactful. Let's hear from some of our customers.
Business is no longer conducted in your four walls. We needed a solution for our customers that would meet the changing and growing demand for mobile and remote workers. We are leading with unified communications. We're leading with team collaboration. We are leading with what I believe is the absolute best company in the business, and that's BroadSoft.
BroadSoft has been a partner of Telefonica for more than 10 years. What BroadSoft offered to us is a portfolio of products and services quite aligned with what a service provider like Telefonica needs.
BroadSoft is very good at understanding the market and helping as a strategic partner go to market and fulfill the marketing needs that we need to do. In the last financial year, we saw a 62% increase in our subscriber base. So the growth has been very rapid, and that's really driven in part by the Powered by BroadSoft program.
BroadSoft has a field-proven expertise to work with telcos. BroadSoft has demonstrated that they are able to work with us in an agile way.
Their support has been nothing short of phenomenal.
Collaborating with BroadSoft allows us to construct a much more seamless solution for the customer. The engagement and support from a BroadSoft perspective really comes around technical requirements that a customer may have and better understanding how we can construct the solution to address the customer's needs.
To handle the volume of new customers we have every day, we need to automate the installation process because it has to be efficient, fast, but at the same time flexible because we need to answer our customer needs on the fly.
With the procurement of BroadSoft technology, we obtain new collaboration and mobility functionalities that significantly improve the operational efficiency in public service communications and thus the improvement of citizen services.
The great thing about the flexibility is the fact that the customer is able to handle their customers and answer their calls, get their confidence, and get their business.
Not bad, huh? So, the next part, the next piece of Powered by BroadSoft and our rethinking innovation is around onboarding. What is onboarding? Onboarding is migration from the old or legacy system. It is turning it up and activating the user on the new system, on our systems. And onboarding is a challenge. In fact, one of you here has told us that onboarding has been a major challenge for us. The maturity of the customer for this type of service and technology is a major concern. We need to help them adapt and help them operationalize in their businesses. So, how do we do at onboarding? What's our scorecard in onboarding? The customer signs a contract, they're very happy, and we're very happy. And then this happens. Between what they have to do and what we have to do, there's about 200 different steps. This is really complicated. If you're getting a headache, I can assure you they're getting an ulcer. And we know that because we actually ran mystery shopping campaigns working with some of you. And we heard some common messages, common themes. The customer says, can I port my existing number to the new service? The rep on the phone says, yes. It takes only 3 weeks. 3 weeks, a small business has to close shop. It doesn't work. It's too long. The customer says, hey, I have this new UC service. How can I download the app on my mobile so I use one number? And the rep says, mobile app? I actually don't know what that is. The rep was never trained. At which point, of course, the customer says, then why did I pay for this in the first time? We've heard this over and over again, working with you as part of this mystery shopping. Our objective is to address this, and we're going to address it head on. We're on it. We are working with your teams to make sure that we make that complicated process I just showed you earlier into something that feels like, to the end user, to the customer, it's only 5 steps, 5 simple steps. In fact, on our side, what we have done, we created a dedicated team inside BroadSoft, a dedicated cross-functional team inside BroadSoft to address the onboarding challenge, head on. I'd like you to hear from some of them.
Two of the key reasons for failure in onboarding are the lack of data accuracy and the time that it takes to onboard. With other operators, we're seeing that they're having as many as 30% of their customers leave the service due to the gap between the digital onboarding and the physical onboarding of those customers. The challenges in onboarding come down to technical and process, and we've identified solutions that address each of these.
The channel support system allows our partners to manage these activities through order submission and full onboarding. In addition, if the partner chooses, BroadCloud can actually manage these services through the provisioning and implementation organizations within BroadCloud. We can actually handle all the onboarding activities through order activation and service configuration. This is more of a white glove service we offer BroadCloud partners.
Our end users today have expectations far beyond what they've had in the past. We had a customer that had 200 processes in order to deliver service to their customer. It was taking 45-day delivery to get full service. We worked with them and were able to change this to 14 days. The alliance that Pro Services has with our partners is unique because we have worked with so many great partners over so many years that with their know-how and our experience, we've been able to make a huge difference.
We all understand the academics of how churn undermines growth. And yet, as an industry, we continue to invest in acquisition at the expense of onboarding and adoption.
So remember, we are going to solve this head-on. A dedicated team, cross-functionally, across BroadSoft. Please go look for them, speak with them, and more importantly, tell us what's working for you and how we can work together to solve this onboarding challenge. As we heard from my colleagues, there are basically 4 major principles that we have learned. 4 things that we have learned by working with you. The first is get the data right and integrate the data correctly. The second is automate the order processing, reduce errors. Third lesson is have everything be ready from day one. So when the end user, the customer, the enterprise wants to use it, it's ready. It's plug and play. And finally, we need to have systems and dashboards to track the progress. In fact, we need to anticipate what things could go wrong and when. As a matter of fact, we should tell the customer that something is going to happen. We should not surprise them. And if we do, it should be pleasant. Now, we discussed this earlier. Scott talked about it. We have developed a system that integrates all of this, and it's called Channel Support System, or CSS. So to address the onboarding issue, we have CSS and a dedicated team. Very important for all of us to address this challenge head on. Now let me focus on adoption, the last part of our Powered by BroadSoft. What is end user adoption? End user adoption is really the idea that when a customer begins to use our service in their businesses, that they rely on it. They really need it. They know why it's useful for them. It's the fact that it creates an emotional connection with the service or the app. Who does it well? Well, these guys do it well. The apps that you use for social networking and to connect with your friends, the apps that you use for entertainment or for ride sharing or for e-commerce, and the gaming guys actually get it really well. Interestingly enough, if you look, what's common between all these apps is that you look forward to using these apps. You want to use them. You want to turn on your phone and start using these apps. That experience is quite important. Now, we know that you recognize the importance of end user adoption because you've told us this. In fact, in various conversations, you've told us that we often think, what's the most important app that we should have? What's the most important feature in that app? And it turns out the answer is these are the features that a business cannot live without. The very fundamental features that ties into the business processes that they rely on every day. As a matter of fact, if a competition comes to us and wants to steal our customers, they can't, because the customer will say, I have all I need. Now, in the B2B space, this adoption is actually a big deal. We may not always pay attention to it, but it's a big deal. We looked around and found several companies that actually use gamification to increase sales. One of them used gamification to try their software in the channel. The usage rate went up by 40%, which resulted in a 29% increase in revenue. So having good end user adoption and having good practices actually pays off. It's very important for our revenue and our top line. As Scott mentioned earlier, this is an area of focus for us. And in everything that we develop and all the experiences that we provide to you and to our end users. But 3 key principles, just to remind you again. First is to reduce complexity. For example, discover the features of the different apps we're using and do this through the developments that we have ongoing at BroadSoft Business through let's say through integrating Hub. Second is to use data. Figure out what features the businesses are using, why they're not using other features, and be able to make sense of that. We have a business intelligence service that gathers the data, and we're working quite a bit on that. The last part is training. Nurture the experience, train them, use bots and other technologies to make sure that they know how to use these applications and services. We have a lot of new experiences in the business environment. We have done a lot, and more on this coming to you going forward. So I'm going to summarize what we have done, put all of this together. Look, we have a massive market opportunity ahead of us. We're just at the beginning, as we heard this morning. We have all the technology that we need, and in fact, there's going to be more. The challenge that we have as an industry is our time to market. The challenge is our processes, and we need to rethink through these processes together. And to do this, we launched this channel management program, which we call Powered by BroadSoft. This is a partnership. And we're very proud of the relationship we have with all of you. And we are working together. And believe me, in the last year, we've had a number of direct dialogues, brainstorming, discussions to learn and to understand how we can improve what we have in front of us. And we all agree that we need to change where we are. We have to get out of our safety zones. We have to change our status quo. And we can overcome the issues that we have. Look, we have legacy systems. There's a lot of risk to change. I've already invested a lot of money in the systems that I have. My teams are not aligned, but we can get through that. In fact, we must get through that. We have to go to where innovation is and where the opportunity lies for all of us. Remember, the objective and the target for all of us is to create the next $20 billion company in this room for all of us. The next big thing is actually right in front of us in the industry that we're focused on. And we can make that happen. So my ask of you and my call to action for all of us is double our revenue by 3 years. It's possible precisely because everything that we have available to all of us, what we call 2x by 3. That's our target. Now, on a personal note, I have to tell you, my friends, we got to keep up. We got to make all this happen. The world is changing. I have to tell you, I have managed to repair my relationship with my car, and the dealer's okay with me, but I have no idea what that thing is going to tell me next time I sit in it. So thank you for your attention.